Have you ever discovered your therapist was dating your ex at a Starbucks? When my 5-year relationship ended, I was completely broken. My ex-fiancée, Natalie, left after we fought about starting a family. I just lost my dad to cancer and wasn't ready to talk about kids yet, but she took that as me rejecting her. One day I came home and all her stuff was gone. I fell into this dark hole. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't function. My friends kept telling me to get help, so finally I found this therapist named James. He was this calm, soft-spoken guy who specialized in grief and relationship trauma. For the first time in months, I started feeling human again. Session after session, I told James everything about Natalie, how we met, our inside jokes, her weird habit of eating cereal with a fork, how she'd get mad if I left dishes in the sink overnight. I even told him about our sex life, her insecurities, her triggers from past relationships. James never judged me. He just listened and gave me these breathing techniques for panic attacks. For 6 months, I was getting better. James helped me rebuild my daily routine, encouraged me to start dating again, even helped me write in this journal about closure and moving forward. I trusted him completely. Then one Thursday, I left my session feeling actually good for once. I'd just written this poem about letting go and decided to grab coffee before heading home. I walked into the Starbucks on 5th Street, ordered my usual iced coffee, and waited by the pickup counter. That's when I saw them in the back corner, Natalie and James, holding hands across the table like they were on some romantic date. My heart just stopped. I thought maybe I was seeing things. Maybe it was just someone who looked like James. But then he looked up and saw me staring. The color drained from his face like he'd seen a ghost. I walked straight over to their table. I wasn't even angry yet, just confused. Natalie looked up at me with this awkward smile and said, "Owen, hey, what are you doing here?" Then she looked between me and James and asked, "Wait, you two know each other?" That's when James stood up and said, "Let's talk about this later, Owen." And that's when it all clicked. She had no idea. She didn't know I was his patient. She didn't know that for 6 months, James had been listening to me talk about her every single week. About her body, her fears, her family drama, everything. I just walked out. I couldn't even speak. The whole drive home, I felt sick. It wasn't just that they were dating. It was that James knew everything about her from me. He knew she hated when guys wore cologne because her abusive ex wore too much. He knew she loved when people played with her hair. He knew exactly what to say to make her feel special because I'd told him all her emotional triggers. He was basically using my therapy sessions as a dating manual. The next day, I called the state licensing board and filed an ethics complaint. Turns out, James had already been warned once before for boundary issues with another patient a few years back. The whole thing was a mess of paperwork and interviews, but I didn't care. I wanted him to lose his license. 2 weeks later, Natalie sent me this long text saying she broke up with him after I told her the truth. She said she felt disgusted and violated, that she never would have dated him if she'd known. She even apologized for the way our relationship ended. But honestly, that almost made it worse, because now I was thinking about all the conversations they must have had. Did he tell her I still loved her? Did he share my journal entries? Did they laugh about my panic attacks together? I had to start therapy all over again with someone new. Spent the first 3 sessions just talking about how violated I felt. My new therapist, Dr. Kim, said what James did was one of the worst ethical violations she'd ever heard of. The licensing board suspended his license for 2 years and made him do mandatory ethics training, but the damage was done. I'd spent 6 months pouring my heart out to someone who was using my pain to get with my ex. The craziest part? James actually tried to call me a month later to explain his side. I didn't pick up, but he left this voicemail saying it wasn't planned, that they just ran into each other at a conference and had a connection. Like that made it better. Natalie and I never got back together.